In any case, considering the data we now know, a first contact may be possible in a short time. It's also possible that some civilization has already listened to our messages. Nevertheless, how is it possible that if there are other civilizations, we haven't yet received any evidence of their existence? This is what is known as the Fermi paradox.
The physicist Enrico Fermi famously asked, where are they? The idea was, if in fact the universe is populated with life, why haven't they come here?
The formulation of that paradox arose when the physicist Enrico Fermi was working on the Manhattan Project, whose aim was the development of the US atomic bomb. Fermi's answer to his paradox was that every advanced civilization develops, along with its technology, the potential to exterminate itself, as was thought to be happening at that time. The fact that other extraterrestrial civilizations had not been found implied for him a tragic end for humanity. However, there are several possible solutions to the Fermi paradox. They do exist, but they are not communicating with us. They do exist and communicate, but we can't hear them. They do exist and have been here, but we weren't. They do exist, but most people don't know it yet. They have disappeared. Maybe these civilizations have already destroyed themselves as a consequence of a nuclear war or some other cause. But we find even more solutions to the paradox.
Well, there are a lot of answers to the Fermi paradox. One is that it's actually very difficult to travel between the stars. Even over the course of long periods of time, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of commitment, and anything that you can gain in terms of information, you could get a lot cheaper simply by sending radio signals.
Another possible solution is that we aren't interesting to them. If some civilization were able to come to the Earth from the stars, it would have to be thousands or millions times more advanced than ours, and we may not have anything interesting to offer them. Such a civilization might consider us as primitive, as we consider a simple beehive. Would it make any sense for us to interact with bees and try to make them understand our advances in spacecraft missions, nuclear energy, or quantum mechanics?
Or maybe there is colonization and we just don't happen to see it because it's not nearby or it isn't very obvious.
Paradoxically, the galaxy could be filled with intelligent forms of life, but we are so primitive that we have not even realized it. Another explanation for the Fermi paradox is that we may have already received those signals, but we haven't realized it. We haven't perceived the signals, or we haven't been able to understand or decode them. In this case, some strange signals from outer space have been received. Their origins are now being investigated, and they have posed serious questions for scientists.
The most famous signal that's been detected came in 1977. It was at Ohio State University's Big Ear radio telescope. And in the course of listening for signals from another civilization, there was this message that was strong, that was spread out over frequency. It looked exactly like the kind of signal we would want to get from ET.
During his work on the night shift on July 15, 1977, Jerry R. Eman, professor of the State University of Ohio and SETI project volunteer, observed the weird transcription of the radio signal made by a computer in a section of paper feed to confirm later that it was the most intense anomalous signal detected up to that point by a radio telescope. The signal of unknown origin had a duration of 72 seconds and reached an intensity 30 times higher than conventional signals, and had come from the constellation of Sagittarius.
In fact, it was so astounding that when the technician was looking at the printout the next morning, he wrote "wow" in the margin, and that's become known as the wow signal.
The computer processed the signals received into a series of alphanumeric characters. It wrote the sequence 6EQUJ5, which has kept the international scientific community on edge until today. Eamon and his team studied the signal in detail. In the end, they were able to rule out that it had been part of any interference coming from the Earth. So during the following month, the operators of the radio telescope tried to reposition the signal, but they didn't succeed.
Well, many times in the decades since then, astronomers have looked at the same part of the sky to see whether they can find the wow signal again, but we've never been able to replicate it. So the key to progress in SETI is to be able to find a signal that looks as good as the wow signal, but now to be able to find it not just once, but over and over and over again.
Today, the origin of that signal is still under investigation.